Just use your head. $1 million is nothing in 3 years, if I am correct. And I am correct. I don't make bets and lose them. My wife can tell you that. She's holding the phone here. It's an easy bet. It's something I can absolutely guarantee. Now, since I said that, a bunch of people jumped on the bandwagon, okay? And why? Because I said it, and I stand by it. And Bitcoin is accelerating in its value.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that are saying that they expect by the end of next year, quite a few people said $40,000, $50,000. You're probably even higher than that in your estimation if it's going to get to $1 million by 2020. They're saying $40,000, $50,000 by the end of 2018 is what many people are expecting now.
No, my figure's at 78,000 by the end of 2018. However,
Wow.
what astonishes is people say, we think Bitcoin is going to be 14,000 by the end of 2018. What paradigm are they using? They are using the old paradigm, where you do have bubbles, where things do pop, where you do have corrections. The word correction cannot be applied to Bitcoin. That's from an old paradigm. So here's the problem. It does not matter whether governments like Bitcoin or not, whether banks like Bitcoin or not. And I was on with Jamie Dimon when he was saying Bitcoin was a fraud. Well, it's clearly not. Jamie Dimon is head of America's largest bank. Obviously, he's frightened. All banks are frightened. In 5 years' time, we will have no banks because everybody with a Bitcoin wallet will be its own bank. I can do wire transfers or the equivalent. I can do the equivalent of writing checks. Everything that a bank can do, my wallet can do. Yeah, so in September, I was supposed to give a talk in Beijing at BitCan, one of the largest Bitcoin conferences. The week before, China shut down the exchanges and made ICOs illegal, which was the topic of my talk. Had I shown up, I would have been arrested. The entire conference was moved to Hong Kong. Oddly enough, every keynote speaker that was to speak at that conference showed up in Hong Kong, and almost everybody who had registered. That shows the dedication. But let me get back to what we were discussing earlier. There's nothing that governments can do to shut down Bitcoin. Now, they could stop me from showing up in Beijing. I'm a human being. They could stop me at the airport and arrest me. They cannot stop and did not stop trading in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. It is impossible for a government to stop a distributed system like Bitcoin. And now
that's right. It actually went up, didn't it, in terms of the amount of Chinese yen buying a Bitcoin? It went up from 5 to, I think, to 20%. Then it went back down to like 13%. But it actually is still 2 or 3 times what it was before they prohibited it.
What it was before. So prohibition requires enforcement. How do you enforce people not using Bitcoin? You would have to have an agent for every citizen within your country. They would have to come into your house and monitor your computer usage 24 hours a day. It is not possible. You cannot enforce any of these bans, and this is what governments do not understand. Banks are more terrified than governments. Governments are going to lose revenue if they're taxing income. Banks are going to lose their entire business because a wallet is a bank. End of story.
So do you see the banks trying to offer, and this is what a lot of people talk about, we see Venezuela is coming out and saying that they're going to offer a cryptocurrency. Interesting enough, because in Venezuela, they're one of these states like Zimbabwe and others where people are trying to flee the country with their capital. That's been one of the things that is so attractive about something like Bitcoin. And so now they're trying to come out and say, we're going to run a cryptocurrency for people. I think that's too little, too late for Venezuela. But other countries have talked about going into competition with Bitcoin, like China and Russia as well.
Yes. But you cannot, because these cryptocurrencies that governments are offering are centralized. It's just like things are now. They have central control. They can control the price. They can control the fluctuations. They can control interest rates. No, Bitcoin is not centralized. It belongs to the people. It has taken power away from centralized governments and banks and given that power to the people. When a government issues its own cryptocurrency, they're missing the point. They're simply taking that power back. Are you going to accept that? I'm not. Go ahead and issue a cryptocurrency. America, England. I don't care. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to continue to use Bitcoin.
That's right. And then when you look at efforts like China and now being reported, UK, as a matter of fact, last week, some reporter pitched out a question to President Trump. What about Bitcoin? Well, we got Homeland Security looking into it. If China, if the United States, if the UK try to put restrictions on people taking money in and out, we still have places like Japan that are going to, or Switzerland, that are going to run into this and say, embrace it, and people will still be able to get their money in and out through those currencies, wouldn't they? If they wanted to.
Absolutely. And again, the exchanges are now moving to distributed wallets. There is no more central exchange in the new paradigm of Bitcoin. Exchanges, you will be part of a distributed exchange. If someone shuts you down, it's not going to shut the exchange down, because the exchange is spread across millions of nodes, millions of users, millions of wallets. So there's nothing technologically, legally, legislatively that can be done to stop or even impede the growth of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Now, you're talking about a distributed wallet. That's something that many of us don't know about, including myself. Tell us a little bit about a distributed wallet, and how does that compare to, like, say, a hardware wallet where the keys and everything reside on a separate device?
When I say distributed, I mean wallets that are including a distributed exchange. Instead of having an exchange which is located in one country with massive servers, that exchange is now distributed among millions of users of the cryptocurrency. So you cannot take it down. The exchange process itself, if you want to exchange Bitcoin for Ethereum, there is no central exchange. It's done with everybody's wallets communicating simultaneously. It cannot be taken down. It cannot be located. It does not exist in any one location. It is an idea made manifest through millions of people accepting and embracing the idea. So when that happens, give up government. End of story. War over. People won. Government lost.
That's a great idea. Now, in the past, you've talked about the necessity, and we've heard it as well from Kim.com, the necessity to have some kind of a replacement, perhaps, for the internet that would allow us to escape the approaching centralized control.
Bitcoin price warning. Cliff High says not to touch cryptocurrency until this happens.
People call them the opposition, the bad guys. I believe you have like Faction A, Faction B. There's so many different words for all these different, for the groups here. I'll just call them the global elite. Right now, do you see the global elite, are they being exposed at this time?
Yes, and they're being exposed not only from the actions of the people they're contending with or against, but they're also being exposed as a result of a side effect of the population as a whole encountering what you could call an awakening wave, a combinoric effect.
The top 10 cryptocurrencies for 2018, 3 risky, 3 safe, 3 medium, and...
Okay, oh man, so I know it's late, guys, and I'm really tired, but you know what? Cryptocurrency doesn't sleep, so I don't sleep either, and I was determined today when I woke up to figure out some sort of quality video to bring you on a day when there's really not that much crypto news out there. Besides what we heard about Coinbase being accepted as a merchant option everywhere, aside from PayPal, for example, over 50,000 different merchants, you can just hit the Coinbase button and pay in Bitcoin and Ethereum, which has a fancy logo, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash. That was pretty much the majority of the news that we got today. So I thought, what can I do to provide some sort of value for you guys today that I thought might be important? So I decided to leverage some of my experience that I've had in years of cryptocurrency in order to scour the markets and the market caps for something that's got a really nice and low market cap, that's got a really solid team, that's got a really solid background, is doing something that has the least competition and is severely undervalued by most of the crypto market. And oftentimes when the markets are nice and low or flat, as we've seen, this is the best time to find these really nice opportunities. So I went to Twitter today to poll you guys and inquire as to what might these coins be that naturally I could have overlooked with the crazy amount of coins that we've had. So I got so many, I mean, you can see here 360 different entries, and I've read, you don't even know how many different white papers today, and you don't know how many websites I visit and how many comments I've read, and I've tried to do a bunch of stuff in my own personal life, but I have come down to, you know, it was really, really hard for me to actually finalize which coin I was going to talk about. But this is a coin that I didn't necessarily want to mention before when they were having their ICO, because I thought, I know for a fact, I knew from the background that they had raised money privately, and that possibly if you bought the ICO, you might get dumped these coins and lose money instead of make money as an investor. So I kind of refuse to talk about this project based on what I kind of heard almost a year ago, I suppose. Actually, maybe 7 or 8 months ago. And I think the time has come to cover this coin for you guys. So let's go ahead and just get into things real quickly here. This was an image that I retweeted here on Twitter, which was a list of blockchain projects that are the most reputable within certain different industries with respect to using blockchain to change the world in a revolutionary way. So these are really some of the biggest leaders that we have seen that have naturally evolved out of the blockchain space. And frankly, if you don't recognize 80% of these companies, then you haven't done enough research into crypto, and you should definitely check out this picture and look into a lot of these companies because they really are the leaders. They have probably the biggest communities, having been early adopters, and let's just say early mover with a good team is a really good position to be within this space. So there's one coin here that kind of stands out as well, and it's the coin I'm referring to. It's this coin right here under the security tab, Rivets, that we're going to be covering today. As you can see, it's really the only one here. Arguably, all of these have to do with security. When it comes to sovereign security, this stands out by itself, allowing us to not have to worry about some of the gravest issues that have affected the way that software has been built in the recent history that we've had. I mean, in this entire week, if you guys have been watching the news, you've probably seen that Equifax, the credit company that got hacked, where millions, hundreds of millions of Americans, I think it was 135 million Americans, got our credit history, all of our information on our names, our addresses, our phone numbers, our email addresses, exposed because hackers hacked one of these credit rating agencies. Equifax is also TransUnion and Experian, but Equifax was hacked. Fun fact, that's actually their second name. According to Andreas Antonopoulos, they changed their name after being hacked years prior, but they might have to change their name again because a centralized company we trusted with all of this information, and they got hacked. Naturally, why would a corporation risk losing their bottom line profits, risk their Christmas bonuses for their executives, and risk the dividends for stockholders when they don't necessarily have to spend hundreds of millions more on the latest software in order to mitigate hackers? I mean, they're going to have to be constantly upgrading this software in order to keep up with these hackers. And hackers, I don't think they sleep. So I think this is where Rivets really enters into the picture. It enters into the picture into a anticipated to be $6 trillion industry, up from $3 trillion back in 2015 when last this information was out there. It also affects Internet of Things, how our devices are going to talk to each other, and doing this in a secure, decentralized way, a decentralized marketplace, which I think is very, very interesting. So I took some notes here just to make sure that you guys get the information in the most accurate way that I found by reading their white paper and checking out the community. And so let me go ahead and share some of the things that I thought were really, really cool here. So, I mean, this comes after years of work. Rivets has been working for over almost 3 years already on what they're building right now. So I think it's really a sleeper hit. It's really, really been neglected. If we head over to Coin Market Cap over here, then you can see that it's only got a $17 million market cap. Generally, for those of you who might not be as experienced with what that means, all you do is multiply the total supply times the price, the currently last traded price on the exchanges, the average of them, and that's how you get the market cap. Now, this market cap, generally you want this number to be, it going up while you're holding these tokens is a good thing. And a lower market cap means that there's a lot of room for growth. I mean, let's take a quick look at Bitcoin up there. Look at Bitcoin's market cap. Not that it's gonna compare to it, but we got a $142 billion market cap, and then we got a $17 million market cap here for Rivets. So, I mean, and we're not even talking about trillion-dollar market caps that this has potential to help with in regards to security, as we previously covered. So you see it kind of looks like the charts are looking pretty good here. It might have bottomed out. This was when I refused to make the video over here, but now might be the right time. It's only rank 361 as far as market cap rankings, and if you head down to the bottom here, I think it's very likely this coin, based on what it has going for it, could at least hit the top 100 coins. Maybe I'm wrong, but again, this is opinion. As always, it's not investment advice. Definitely not investment advice. But just what I'm seeing here, why not? I mean, we got a bunch of coins here that haven't produced a product yet at all. We've seen multiple alpha versions and demonstrations already produced by Rivet.
Okay, so another week, another episode in this What to Expect in 2018 series. Of course, you know by the title of this video that we're going to be covering IOTA, and it's funny how this has become one of the most controversial cryptocurrencies in the entire marketplace recently, but it's a currency that I've been invested in for a long time. I believe in its fundamentals, and so that's why I'm more than happy to keep making content around it. And so as we look into what 2018 has in store for IOTA, there are two announcements which I think are a very, very big deal. I'm very much looking forward to, and they're going to be coming in pretty much in the near future, kind of first to second quarter of 2018. The first of which is the Trinity wallet, formerly known as the UCL wallet, because one of the guys making it is doing his master's thesis in University College London right now. But since then, the IOTA Foundation has kind of taken him under their wing. They've kind of absorbed that project, put in their manpower, money, resources into creating now what will hopefully be a very high quality finished product, and it promises to be a user-friendly, cross-platform, mobile wallet application which we'll all be able to use to safely and securely store our IOTA. At the moment, we're pretty much stuck with the official IOTA desktop wallet application, and it's had its fair share of problems, to say the least. Just like many of you guys, I've had problems with zero balance display. I've had a bunch of other, irritating problems around it as well. And so I very, very much welcome a new alternative wallet application there, especially one which I can actually store or access on my phone. I think that's a great move. As I've said in previous videos, I think all this FUD and all this drama around the IOTA wallet has caused an awful lot of people out there who would otherwise be very, very interested in this technology and would want to, invest and hold some. I think they've been prevented from doing so because of a fear of losing access to their funds or something along those lines. And so if this wallet delivers, if it succeeds, then hopefully it will go a very, very long way towards restoring some of that lost faith in IOTA as a project, and hopefully it'll invite many, many more people to get on board and to experiment with this new novel technology. So that's one of the two things that I'm very, very much looking forward to in the very near future. And then the other thing, of course, is Q. And I don't really know how to begin with this, but basically, if you don't have any idea what Q is at all, it's some kind of mystery project or announcement that's expected to be made now in the next couple weeks, probably, maybe months if it gets delayed. It's been mentioned by the co-founders and developers of IOTA among several blog posts, the official Slack page, the official Reddit page, and we, the regular people who aren't privy to that kind of inside information, we are left just kind of wondering and speculating about what this huge major announcement could possibly be. I've read into all kinds of crazy theories around GIN processors, quantum computers, AI, major banking partnerships, major partnerships with some of these key Internet of Things industry players, all kinds of stuff. And because I don't know for sure what that is myself, I don't want to add any fuel to any of those theories, just in case they're all completely wrong and we're completely off the mark. So I thought
Cool. If, for instance, we reach this critical mass, let's say it happens on January 28th, 2019, it's not like we will shut it down that day. Like, we will see what is the current status of the network. Like, is this organic growth? Is it spamming of the network? Is it artificial? Is it actual real transactions that are being issued? Is this adoption? And if this will probably take some evaluation period before we're confident that, okay, this will remain and this will actually grow. But when we do it, if for whatever reason suddenly we see the nodes decrease, then of course we would have to kind of issue a snapshot where the community would decide. It would kind of have to be like a fork. Do you want to continue on this network that may not have sufficient nodes, or do you want to go back to a quasi-decentralized network for a period of time until we reach critical mass again? But there is not like we have a magic button that we can press, fuck it, now we want the coordinator back. Like, that will not happen. That's impossible, actually. So yeah, hopefully that answers his question or her question.
Another aspect of IOTA is ternary instead of binary. Can you explain your decision, and also for people who do not know the difference between binary and ternary when it comes to computation? Sure.
So the decision again goes back to even before the IOTA project was born. So let's rewind back to 2014, when me, Sergey Vancheglo, we were creating, or we co-founded this startup, stealth startup, still stealth, that is developing a new type of microprocessor that is using ternary logic instead of binary logic. And the reason for this choice is that ternary logic is more efficient than binary logic, just by mathematical equations. Like, if you want to understand completely why, you have to go deep into the math, find the Euler constant, which is 2.718, go on and on and on and on. And just to make it as simple as possible, I guess, think 2.7. It is closer to radix 3 than it's to radix 2, which is binary, and 3, of course, trinary or ternary. And that's the most efficient way to represent and process information. That's just how the universe was created. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'm not God. So don't ask me why it's the way it is, but it is the way it is. And
so the efficiency was the reason that
you
chose. But currently, all the processors, all the hardware are, of course, binary.
Yeah.
And to make ternary instructions run on binary, you have some kind of layer in between. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So the thing is, when we created this microprocessor, we were not creating a microprocessor for the desktop market or the laptop market or the tablet market or even the phone market. Our market was the blue ocean of the Internet of Things, of smart sensors, of artificial intelligence, of virtual reality, augmented reality, whatever you want to call it. Induced reality is my preferred term, but fuck that, another discussion. That's the aim we went for. And if you read up, and I encourage everyone that is into artificial intelligence and artificial neural networks to do a Google search on ternary neural networks in using ternary weights instead of binary weights in artificial intelligence, and you will see that it's a lot more efficient. It's also a lot more efficient for certain graphical processing methods like octrees, where you gain like 8-fold performance gains from using ternary. So this is kind of where we started. This is what we created the hardware for. This new market. We're not trying to replace your desktop with a ternary desktop. That's not going to happen. Of course not. It's the blue ocean that has yet to be populated. And since we knew that ternary is the most efficient, then it was completely natural for us to carry that on to IOTA. But to your point, indeed, right now, the laptop I'm on, whatever, if you're a stationary guy or a laptop guy, whatever you're on, it's binary. But it's efficient enough to run it without any problem. The trade-off is not important until you come down to the embed level, where you have tiny microcontrollers, tiny sensors. That's where the energy gain becomes very, very, very valuable. You don't care if your computer is using 7% more energy to do this binary-trinary conversion. That doesn't affect you, but it affects a tiny device that is meant to be out in the field for 15 to 20 years. And that's why we went with this ternary choice. That's also why IOTA is ternary, because IOTA, of course, a large part of IOTA is meant for this embed world where energy consumption is pivotal. And so that's the answer to that. And for those people that worry, like, what if you like ternary doesn't catch on? What if the benefit isn't great enough? Then we could simply go back to binary. It's not like we are doomed to do ternary for like till the end of time. IOTA is a very, very malleable project. Like, we are just looking at what is out there, what works the best, what is theoretically best, and then we test it out. And if it doesn't work, whether it is for the sake that we made the wrong assumptions or whatever, then we simply change it. We upgrade it, update it. That's how innovation is meant to be done. It's meant to be done in iterations.
So are there currently any producers of ternary processors for IoT applications, or do you plan to do it yourself in the future?
Yeah, so there's two semiconductors that is doing it. One of them is ST Microelectronics. They are doing it for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, for artificial intelligence, processing of artificial neural networks. And of course, we are creating our own. And when I say we, it's important here that I don't say we as the IOTA Foundation, but we as the startup that I mentioned are creating these. But the only component that is relevant for the IOTA discussion is completely open source and free for every semiconductor to produce. So this is just like a few thousand logic gates that they just add to the die when they are manufacturing their chip. It won't cost them anything. It literally won't cost them any space, any money, anything. It's like, if we succeed, they simply add this thing in, because hardware always follows the software. If the software stack has this component, then the hardware will follow. And since it's such a tiny component, it doesn't make any. There is no obstacles for them to adopt it. They don't care that it's ternary. There's no reason. So yes, it's still very early days. I mean. All cutting-edge technology is. That's simply
I'm just going to check the state of the stream, so it's still everything's
Sure.
working. Guys, we have over 2,700 people watching. Amazing to see everyone here. Next, we're going to talk about why some of the biggest names in cryptocurrency and blockchain are criticizing IOTA. But please smash the like button if you haven't. Share the stream with your friends and family, and let's continue. So, as I just mentioned, some of the biggest names in cryptocurrencies, such as Vitalik from Ethereum and others, criticize your choices, both with Coordinator, both with ternary, and also this cryptographic debate that was going on during the autumn. So, why do you think that is? Do they just not understand, or your point of view, or are they afraid of your new approach? How would you describe their position, and how do you see this criticism?
Yeah, for sure. So it's definitely a combination. Like if we're talking about the entire space, it's definitely a combination. So let's start with Vitalik. So I've always been friendly with Vitalik. We've never had any big like heated arguments over anything. And there was a period of time, not that long ago, where we were working on integrating kind of IOTA to, or building this bridge between IOTA and Ethereum. The problem was just that doing this in a trustless fashion without like delegated representatives was too costly, because Ethereum is very costly when you're using the smart contracts. So it's not like he opposes IOTA, at least to my knowledge. He made some inaccurate statements on Twitter about IOTA, and we simply